CJ Flyer back with another YouTube video. Today playing some College Football 26 Dynasty and seeing what happens if every player leaves your school. This thought came across my mind when it was announced that the transfer portal in College Football 26 was going to be much more volatile with many more players leaving than what was the case in College Football 25, especially with the new dynamic deal breakers. And of course, as we all know, when it comes to recruiting, you're only limited to bringing in up to 35 new recruits. Whereas for players leaving your program, you can have the setting all the way up to 30 players maximum transferring out of your school, and that doesn't even include all the seniors that are graduating and the players getting drafted before their senior season. So with that being the case, it's very likely that you could end up with more players leaving your program than entering your program from one season to the next. So in order to answer my question and feed my curiosity, we went into the multiverse of college football timelines and pulled out a timeline in which Kirby Smart leaves the University of Georgia's program to go coach in the NFL, and we take over with one of the worst college coaches of all time. We're not just going to be losing one game, not two games, not three, not four, not five. We're losing every single game on the schedule. It doesn't matter if we are playing Charlotte or if we're playing Alabama. Now, of course, I had to turn coach firing off in the league setup settings for this in order to make sure that I continued running the University of Georgia's football program. I also set the max transfers up to 30 and increased the user chance of transfers all the way to max at 100 and the CPU chance of transfers all the way down to 0. And of course, I also turned auto recruiting off so that the CPU could not recruit for me and we had no new players coming into the program, just everyone deciding to leave. Basically, this is going to be Georgia turning from a 5-star program all the way down to a 1-star program. Now, as you can see, before we even begin to simulate a game, we already have a number of players on the hot seat getting ready to walk out of Georgia and go transfer to another school. So I went ahead and simulated the rest of the first season, and it seems like this timeline in the college football multiverse is definitely a weird one. We have Byron Brown, the quarterback from University of South Florida, winning the Heisman with 3,400 passing yards, 28 passing touchdowns, and a completion percentage of 60. Not only that, but if we look at the results of the national championship game, this is the first time in college football history, as far as I could tell, where a team with more than 2 losses won the championship, as the 11th ranked Iowa State Cyclones beat the 9th ranked Texas Longhorns in the championship game 21-17. Things are already getting weird, and we're only one season through this simulation. Now going to the players leaving screen, and as you can see, I mean, it's a bloodbath out there. It is absolutely brutal. We have several players transferring out due to dynamic deal breakers. We have a few players getting drafted. And then, of course, we have the seniors that we're going to inevitably leave anyways. As we move forward to the encouraged transfers period, simulating through the remainder of the offseason, as you can see, the roster size is 46 players remaining out of the maximum 85 that you can have in College Football 26. This is absolutely brutal. I thought at this point, surely there is no way that the game will not, it just won't let me advance, or maybe it'll give me some randomly generated players that I didn't recruit. But despite the fact that we only have 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 3 defensive edge players, 1 free safety, and 1 strong safety, we were not granted any fake players. The simulation did not stop. We were able to proceed into the next season with a 46-man roster, having enough players at each position, meeting the minimum, and able to play our next season's worth of games. Now, something weird that I noticed before we went into simulating the next season's worth of games is that our team rank was a 99 overall, offense and defense, which just proves that the way that the ratings are set up in this game is illogical at best. I mean, there is no world in which this team should be rated 99 overall, especially considering the fact that we have a 46-man roster that's going to get beaten up with wear and tear. They're probably barely going to be able to make it through half a season at this point. I'd be surprised if there weren't some injuries towards the end of the season. Of course, I guess it'll depend on how these simulations go. Maybe there's less injuries with simulating the games. We'll just have to find out. And here we go, simulating to the end of the 2026 regular season. And you see that now the Heisman is the quarterback from Utah, Devin Dampier, with 2,900 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, and a completion percentage of 71. And I guess there is still a little bit of sanity in this timeline here, as South Carolina, the #1 ranked team with 2 losses, ends up winning the championship against the 6th ranked Florida Gators. And based on that score, 22-21, you'd have to imagine it was off of a 2-point conversion, so a pretty chaotic national championship game. But we don't care about the South Carolina Gamecocks. We care about the Georgia Bulldogs. What's going on with them? Has everyone left the program yet? Are they going to get kicked out of the SEC? What's happening? But before I went to the players leaving screen, I took a look at the season stats for our Bulldogs here. And to my surprise, many of the players that played all 12 games in the season made it through without much wear and tear. They managed to survive. Some of them, their career wear and tear did take a huge hit. We see a few sophomores that have less than half of their career bar left for wear and tear. But for the most part, I'd say the career wear and tear bars are fairly reasonable, and, the players could probably survive at least 1 or 2 more seasons. That being said, there was one player, defensive tackle Jordan Hall. He's a senior, so it doesn't matter. He's already out the door anyways, but his career wear and tear bar was below a quarter left. It was dark red. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's not going to have a career in the NFL. He might be able to play 1 season and that's it. He might have to retire from football. Now at the players leaving screen once again, and this time not as many players leaving. We only have 2 players leaving due to deal breakers. And then we have a number of players that are getting drafted still, the rest graduating. So not nearly as many players leaving as there was in the previous season. Granted, having half your roster leave and no new players added, you're probably not going to have that many more players leave, at least in terms of the EA logic for College Football 26. Now in real life, if Georgia's program went down to 46 players, I'd imagine that the players that are remaining in that program would probably want to transfer out at that point. Not even just for the sake of the wear and tear, but just, at that point, your brand is ruined. You're not going to be very competitive in conference play. And if you're looking to make a career out of football, your best bet is probably to play elsewhere at that point, I would think. So again, moving forward to the encourage transfers window, and we can see our roster size is now down to 37 out of the maximum 85 players allowed. Our team rating is still 99 overall for whatever reason. We don't have a single player above, I think, like 91 overall at this point. And as you can see, we are now down to 1 quarterback. We have no running backs, 1 fullback. And then that's when I noticed things were looking a little weird, because we somehow ended up with 5 wide receivers when last season we only had 4 wide receivers. So I'm not really sure when that 5th wide receiver got added to the roster, but nonetheless, something weird's going on here. EA must be adding players that we did not recruit. And sure enough, when we simulate through the rest of the offseason, going into the 3rd season here in this dynasty, and we go to our roster and go to running back, all of a sudden we magically have a running back appear, what I would assume to be a walk-on player, 69 overall Joey Mustard. And if we go to his player card, you can see he is a 3-star recruit, normal dev trait. He's got a few skill caps, not too many, not too little. And it turns out that is not the only walk-on recruit that was added to our roster. We also have another quarterback here, Matthew Maryland. Again, another 3-star recruit, normal dev trait with some skill caps added. Here's another one, a walk-on kicker, because we no longer had a kicker on the roster. 3-star recruit, normal dev trait, same as the other ones. And at this point, I think my question's pretty much answered. If everyone leaves your school, it appears that EA will add randomly generated walk-on recruits to your roster. They're not going to be star players. In fact, they are going to have the normal dev trait. And I guess another interesting thing to note from this video is not only do randomly generated walk-on recruits get added to your roster when you start to lose too many players, but apparently losing half your roster gives you a 99 overall team. Again, the logic, very flawed. Perhaps something EA should look into correcting. I'm not really sure the exact calculation that goes into determining team ratings and team overalls. But clearly something is up here, because no way is this team a 99 overall team. Even if we were playing the games here, I don't think I could win all 12 games with half of a roster. especially considering the wear and tear. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you prefer the way that it is set up where you get randomly generated walk-on recruits? Have you ever had a situation where you lost so many players that you had walk-ons added to your team? And with that, click one of the videos on your screen now for some more College Football 26 content.